Hello everyone, how are we doing today? This video should be going up on Christmas, so Merry Christmas if you're watching this the day it comes out, and if not, fair enough. Hope you're having a good day. If you come to this video, it's because you are looking for either my settings for Rainbow Six Siege, or you're looking for the best settings that you can find for Rainbow Six Siege. I'm going to help you find your settings. Let's do this. First things first, we're just going to start with the general settings, your overall settings, the ones that kind of everyone just scrolls through first. These are kind of important. There are some good changes here, some things you want to learn from, some things you won't. So we're going to start quite quickly on this. First thing you kind of want to look at is your display performance metrics. This is going to be important later, so you know your FPS in game. I'd recommend always having it on minimal anyway, just then you know if your game's just stuttering or having FPS issues, how you're ping. If you're someone who likes knowing that stuff, always have it on. I don't recommend having this. It takes up too much of your bottom left corner with like graphs and your render timing. You don't need none of that shit. Minimal metrics, fine. And if you want to, play with it off. But for this video, have it on and then you can turn it off later. The next important one is going to be your stun VFX. So basically, when you get flashbanged, is it going to be white or is it going to be black, like your entire screen, like this or this? It's up to personal preference. I'd recommend having it on dark glare personally, just because it's going to hurt your eyes a lot less. It's not just like a sudden flash of white that blinds you in your entire room behind you. But if you're playing in like a well-lit environment, light glares, like having white glare will be fine. Circle inside camera groups is also quite an important one. So this is when you're cycling between cameras. So for example, when you have default cams and then Valkyrie cameras, if you get to the last one of the default cameras, having this off like this will mean you go straight to your Valkyrie cameras, whereas having it on will allow you to go back to cycle to your first camera a lot quicker. I have this on, it allows me to cycle through cameras really quickly without having to go back and forth constantly with spam E to get to this one and then spam Q to get to this one. It just allows me to cycle straight around. So I personally have this on. I recommend having it on. If you don't like the feel of it, you can play with it off. It's not like it's going to be the reason you lose your game. Your diffuser pickup is also quite important because it's basically just based off is it you always have to pick up the diffuser? Is it you have to click a keybind, or is it both? The reason why I'd say never have it on automatic is because you actually have to be on top of the diffuser to pick it up, which means if the diffuser's in the middle of the doorway, you're not picking that up without a gunfight. Whereas if you have it on manual, you can pick up from around the corner, and then both just allows you to do both. If you run over it, you'll pick it up, and if you try and sit around the corner to click the button, you can as well. So I'd recommend either having it on both or manual, but never just automatic. Your visible throw trajectory, this is quite important as well. But like grenades, C4s, flashbangs, this is the white marker that you will see when you go to throw things. It's overall very important in my opinion. Another important setting in the general settings is your drone after prep. So this is after the prep phase. When the prep phase ends, if you're on attacking side, will you get off your drone the minute the prep phase ends, or will you get off a few seconds later by manual input? Never have it on automatic. The reason why this is because let's say you're trying to get your drone out somewhere and the defenders are chasing you and the prep phase ends. No matter what you're doing, you are getting off your drone, which means you'll probably lose your drone, especially if you're trying to escape defender. Semi-automatic is actually kind of okay. This is fine. This is basically just means that if you're not on your drone, so if you're on someone else's drone, it'll automatically take you out of prep phase, but if you're on your own drone, it gives you a chance to escape. I prefer manual because yes, even though I technically get off the drones slower, I can watch my teammates' drones for run outs, I can watch my own drone, I can keep it alive, I can basically manage a lot of it. I'd personally say have it on manual, but semi-automatic if you're a ranked star is perfectly fine, but never have it on automatic. It's the worst setting you can have for your drones. The next one's match replay. Have match replay on. Yes, if you have no storage on your PC, first things first, clear your PC storage. Have match replay on. This allows you to go back and watch your other games. So if you feel like you're doing something wrong constantly, you can't figure out what it is, you can look back at your games and you can be like, okay, this is a mistake I'm making. Why is this mistake happening? How can I solve it? And overall, this is for your self-rod reviewing. Always have this on. It doesn't take that much storage, just like 8 megabytes of storage space, I'm pretty sure. Crossplay matchmaking, for those who are on PC, you can't turn it off. The moment that becomes an option, I recommend it. Console players, if you're not queuing with PC players, just turn it off. Crossplay communication for us PC players, and actually for both, just have that on. This one, a lot of people will disagree with me on, a lot of people will agree with me on, and a lot of people are going to not understand it. Probably will take up the majority of the video. There's a lot of things on the HUD. When you play your game by standard, there is so much clutter on your screen. This will just help you get rid of the clutter while still having every bit of information available to you. First, you want to have the compass on. If you don't know a call out, it's very useful to use, they're on the north side of the bomb site. I use this all the time in my call outs, even though I do know a lot of the maps. If I'm playing with a player who doesn't, or if I have a mini brain fart, I'll be like, oh shit, fucking office north wall or office east wall. Boom, call out given. I'd still say though, have it on simplified. Current location, just have this on for call outs. If you have a brain fart, you know exactly what room it is. Oh shit, they're on the east server. Location pings, this basically just shows the pings on your compass. Still just have it on. It's not like you're losing anything out on it. Contextual pings, basically this is like the devices. So let's say your teammate pings a Kapkan trap, it shows the Kapkan trap. Opponent pings, this is basically the red pings. These are also good to have on. Objective markers, this just means you can see where the bomb site is. Have it on. Ping location help, yeah, just have it on. These ones aren't too complicated to go through. Load out, have this on. just shows you everything you have in your loadout. Just have that on so you can keep track of things. But, however, have your loadout inputs off. You should know your inputs off by heart. They should be muscle memory, and if they're not muscle memory, they should just be your instinctive. Like, oh, shit, I need to reload. Let me hit R real quick. I need to hit my gadget button. You should know these already. If you don't, leave it on for a small bit longer till you know them. But once you do know them, you might as well just turn it off. They're not that important to have on your screen, and they just take up a lot of space for no reason. Your health bar. You do not need the health bar. Like, you have a number that tells you, oh shit, I am 45 health. You're gonna read the fact you're 45 health. You're not gonna look at the fact you have 45% of your health bar remaining. Just put it to number only. I can't recommend having it off. I know a lot of people who do have it off, and I get it. It makes sense. It gives you that false confidence that you're free to do everything you want. But you can still have that confidence to be like, oh shit, let me just go fucking send it. What are they gonna do? Shoot me? It doesn't matter as long as I shoot them first. Just have it to number only. Your stats effects, this is going to be quite important. So let's say if you're being finger boosted, if you're mute jammered, this is quite good for thermite tricking against mute. So then you know when, like, you can go to the edge of the wall and know exactly where to place it. Ace and Deimos, actually, you can do the same thing with Deimos. So have the status stats effects on. Your stance indicator, turn it off. You can tell when you're crouched, you can tell when you're prone, you can tell when you're stood up. Your down but not out time, however, you might as well have it on. Critical warnings, this is just basically like the massive things like, oh, you are being detected, you have been spotted. Have this on. It's the easiest way to know if teams are red pinging you, and that's the easiest way to know if there's a Valkyrie in the area, and especially in ranked. Just have that on. Your reminders. So your action reminders can actually be, turned up to choice here. Like, you can have them off, input only. I don't recommend input only. You don't know what the fuck's going on. I do icons only because I know my input keybinds. Have icons on at least. That way you just know of it. I recommend having the opacity to the lowest. Your diffuser reminder, have that on. The action duration bar, just have this on. Your reload reminder, this one's going to be very 50-50. So if you're a high level player, let's say you're diamond and above, you won't need this. If you're below diamond, however, have this on. It will probably save you so many times. However, despite this being on, don't be scared to take gunfights with less than 10 bullets. Don't be scared to take a gunfight. I recommend having this off if you're a high level player. If you're even if you're a low level player and you are comfortable with having this off, at least try it. Your general reminders, have this off. It's just clutter on your screen. You should know your ping button. You should know your camera button. You should know how to change your operator as an attacker. It's the 7 key by default if you don't know. Right, now we're going to Reticle. This one I think is a lot more on the personalization side. Like Crosshairs, I have this on. Operator Reticle, I have this on. These ones aren't too important. At least have at least one of these on so you know where your crosshair is at all time. The observation tool reticle, again, I recommend having this on, just then you can be more accurate with your pings. Let's say when you're yellow pinging someone as Valkyrie and you're trying to help them with C4, if you don't have this on, you're going to take a lot longer to get that precise ping. The grenade indicator, have this on, please. It will save your life so mmany times. Same as the threat indicator. When you get shot at or someone is shooting by you, it literally tells you, oh shit, they're in that direction. Go kill them. Hit indicator, this is also basically just made like when you're hit by a bullet, you can tell. If being sat by a Twitch drone is quite useful because it means you can stop the Twitch drone quite quickly. If you're shot, again, you can look at them quite quickly. Kill confirmation, I have both. I find them quite useful. First things first, this one is so important, the device area effect. This allows you to know where that area ranged to. Whenever you place a device, that white circle that goes around, or the white sphere, I guess, that basically shows you that where that effect will take place. Objective markers, again, this is just to tell you, oh, yo, the bomb site is up in radar room of Canal. Have it on, you'll know where it is. Pings, again, have them on. Opponent pings, this is the red pings. Opponent rim light. I very rarely see this in game, but in the small cases that I have seen this in game, it saved my life. Have this on. Basically, it outlines your opponent in red if they're in like a dark room. Okay, these three are somewhat personal preference. And the only reason why I say somewhat is because you need to have one on. Personally, I'd say have teammate icons on. Icons, you should have that on. That way you know which operator on your team is playing where. Outlines, I personally have this off. If you're below gold, have it on. If you're above gold, have it off. Your teammate username, I personally have that off. You can have this on. This one's not that important. If you want to know who exactly on your team is playing where, there you go. Most of these things you'll just want on. Round number, you actually don't need this on. You can play with this on or off. I play with it on personally. I'm just so used to it, but I actually might start playing with it off soon. Bands, might as well just turn it off. You don't really need it there. Score updates, again, clustering your screen. This red drones, this is actually quite good for drone tracking. So if like, oh, we have 3 drones killed, then there's 2 more on the prep phase. Have it on, it's quite useful. Your teammate's not going to call out when they shoot a drone. The first update, this is just like the 5v4. Gameplay warnings, yeah, you just might as well turn this off. Not that important. Operator cards, you can actually choose to have this on and off. It's up to you. I have this off. It doesn't matter to me. Observation panel, have that on. Voice chat indicator tells you who's talking. It's quite important. And operator guides, have it off. If you're someone who runs IEMs like I do, just use night mode. Don't need the other ones. Night mode will be important. If you're someone who runs headphones, you can experiment with it. Night mode allows you to hear footsteps a lot easier. It allows more bassy sounds to come through easier. So again, yours and your opponent's footsteps. Hi-fi means there is zero compressed audio, which means that explosions will seem louder, but again, there's no compression, and it'll probably sound better. Again, I'd say just use night mode. A lot of people will tell you that, but experiment with one you feel like is better. Night mode is what everyone runs for a reason. The high quality voiceover, I think it's the in-game announcement that tells you there's 15 seconds left. I've run this on mono stereo audio. Don't ever run mono, right? Let's say there's a guy right here. I'm hearing him equally on both sides, despite him being here. Run stereo. Voice chat volume, I have this around 60-ish, just purely because I have very loud teammates quite often. Right, going into display settings. Resolution, I recommend having this in the highest resolution your PC can run at. If your PC is a bit slow or a bit old, run this as low as you can while still having clarity, but try to keep it in 1920 by 1080 or 1440p. Display mode, have this in full screen. I only have it in borderless right now just because I'm recording, so I need to be able to go from screen to screen. But otherwise, always have it on full screen and have it at the maximum refresh rate your monitor can give you and your PC can handle. For aspect ratio, some people will run 5:4, some people run 4:3, some people run 3:2, some people run 16:10. I'm going to go in depth on all of these, on which ones they're best for and what kind of players will run them. First, we'll start with resolution. If you're on console, you are forced to, and I feel bad for you guys because you are unable to run the game the way people normally do. So resolution is just kind of awful. Some people do run it, and do you want like credit to them. The reason why I say it's not that great is because the game is a lot more squished together. A lot of doorways may seem really thin. People pixel peeking you will just probably seem invisible or very small. I don't recommend using resolution. I don't really know anyone who does it on PC at high level. Going to 5:4, I know a few players who run 5:4. The reason why 5:4 is used in a high level is because 5:4 allows people who use 1x only to have a more zoomed in screen. The downsides of having these types of resolutions, like the stretch resers, is that you're cutting off the sides of your screen to stretch out. 5:4 makes the game the most stretched, I think, or at least it's the most reasonably stretched. This is good for the 1xers because of that, so a lot of people run it. There are also some other top players that run this. I can't think of any on the spot right now, but there are people who do use 5:4. It's a very viable option. For 4:3, this is your default. This is what everyone runs. This is your Bolo. This is your Shaiko. This is your Panba. Most people run 4:3. This is the default that everyone got from Counter-Strike. So it's good for running holographics. It's good for your red dots. It's good for all of them. You can even see with your ACOG. So if you feel like you want to be Bolo, you want to be Shaiko, you want to be one of your favorite pro players, 9 times out of 10, they're running 4:3. 3:2 and 16:10, I'll talk about these both at the same time. People like Uzi will run 16:10. A lot of people use 3:2. Again, I can't think of anyone on the spot who does that. They're good for ACOG. Sorry, they're less stretched than 4:3, but they're still more stretched than resolution. So they're still good. What you play like will change your aspect ratio. Have VSync off, please. If your PC is awful, run 1 frame VSync. Don't ever run 2 frame VSync, please. Genuinely never run it. In fact, I'd argue never run VSync. Just have an FPS cap if your PC can't run it. The reason why VSync is actually so bad is because it adds input delay. So with VSync on, there's actually a small delay. You may not be able to visually see it, but you can definitely feel it. VSync adds input delay. Don't run it. I'm going to start off and say, don't use below 80. Most people will run 84 at the lowest. So 84 is usually ran by people like Shaiko because he runs 1x scopes. He runs hollows all the time. He doesn't use ACOGs. This basically means that the screen is more zoomed in while still keeping enough to see the screen around. I personally run 90. I've gotten really comfortable with it. It basically allows me to see everything that I can. It allows me to see the most while still keeping the game in stretch res. So my game might be slightly less zoomed in, but I can still see clearly. On average though, people play between 84 and 87. 87 is used, I think Bolo still plays 87. I know he used to. 87 is used by people who use both ACOGs and 1Xs. 90 is used by primarily people who use ACOGs. The HUD display area, having it on 80 allows you to keep everything more condensed in the middle, so you can see everything a lot more clearly. With brightness, I just use 62. It's not too high, it's not too low. If you run it too high, the game looks whitewashed. If you run it too low, you can't see anything. So 62, I feel like it's quite a good balance. Change this based off of your monitor's brightness and gamma itself. Going on to the next bit of the graphics quality, your overall quality, your texture quality. You can choose to have this on low or medium. I'd say though, however, don't really ever have this above medium. There's no need, even if you're on a 4060, 4070, 4080, 4090. You could run very high, but you'll get less frame rate. Run medium at the highest. This means your game will still be clear. You'll still get really nice looking skins, but you're still getting the most amount of frames like per second that you can get. Texture filtering, just have it linear. LOD, it's not like you're something you want to notice either, so run it low. Shading quality, have this low. Shadow quality, don't have this on low, have this on medium. The reason why I have this on medium is because when it's on low, shadows won't exist. You don't get to use the shadows of people walking about. On low settings, you won't see that shadow at all, you have to just guess. With medium, however, you can still see that shadow when they walk past, but you're not seeing every shadow at such a high level that you can't see. So again, you'll still see that vigil hiding in a corner, but you'll also now see the shadows of people running about. Reflection quality, you might as well just run this at low. It can affect your FPS, and it's really not that important. VFX quality, have this low. It blocks your screen. It's so much clutter and you'll struggle to see things, just have it low. Lens effects, have this off. The reason why bloom is so bad is because when you're near a light, any source of lighting, the lighting is so much brighter that it can actually blind you from things behind it. If you have lens flare on, if you're looking somewhere to try and stop a spawn peek on attack and the sun is anywhere behind you or near you, you're not seeing that defender because your scope is just blocked by the sun. Your zoom in depth of field, have this off. When you aim in, you want to be able to see around your scope as well. You need to have this off. Going into the fun part now, controls. Raw input, I run this on. Mouse look inversion, have this disabled. I run 60-60 because I actually run a multiplier, which allows me to run this at 6:6. So instead of it being this, it actually looks more like this. This is where a lot of people will be looking at me and like, okay, but how do I find my sensitivity? Simple, what's your DPI? If your DPI is 400, 800, or 1600, that should be your sensitivity. These sensitivities will be roughly 30 centimeters per 360. Your sensitivity is slow enough to be controlled, but it's fast enough that you're able to do a 360. If you do play wrist aim more like Reach 96, then you might want something a lot faster, so you might run something that's about 15 centimeters per 360. I still wouldn't recommend this. You can run into some wrist injuries doing this, and you're overall going to be quite less consistent, and you can run into issues where shaking slightly might throw your aim off. A lot of people run something around this where they can do a full 360 on the mouse pad. You want to be able to do at least either a 360 or a 180. Depending if you like slower sensors, be able to do a 180 on your mouse pad. If you like mediums or high sensor, run a 360 on your mouse pad. Anything more than that, or anything less than that, will just make the game so much harder to play than for you for no reason. ADS sensitivity. I recommend having a slower ADS than your hipfire because your ADSs are going to be a lot more precise aiming. You are looking to aim at a very small target compared to your hipfire where you're flicking around trying to find where you're running to or check to check like behind you. You don't need to do that while ADS, so have it lowest and you can do more fine movements and your overall consistency while aiming in will skyrocket tremendously. Your scroll wheel, turn this off. Next one is your gadget deployment. Have this on advanced. Drone deployment, this was actually a lot more important in my opinion. Have this on advanced as well. I run hold just because I'm so used to running hold. I run toggle, again, it's another one that I'm just used to. This is a bit more on the preference side of things. Sprint, just have it on hold. Crouch, so I know people who run hold on this, I know people who run toggle, but it depends on what you're comfortable with. Prone, most people have this on toggle. It's usually what most people have. This is the default, I think, and what everyone's comfortable with. I actually personally run hold because I recently learned the Hasham peak, and I find that holding prone makes it a lot easier, and I've just gotten so used to it now that I don't think I could switch back to toggle. Walk, I have this on hold just because I don't want to sit there and slow walk fucking 3 decades while trying to like make my way up a building. Here's where I'm going to be showing off more of what I use. My character controls are default, so the default now. Your crouch and prone, I flipped these, so I think by default prone is control. So for primary gadget, I use X because this is something I just find easier to hit. I use my thumb to hit it. It allows me to basically control my character still with these, so I can still strafe, I can lean, I can take gunfights if I need to before I press it. Drop the fuse I have on my other mouse button, because then if I'm running to somewhere, I can just drop it quickly without having to move my fingers off anything. I just use my thumb. Here we go, here's some important stuff. First things first, color, your optic color. This is personal preference, however, there are some things you need to avoid. I don't recommend running like light blue. I don't recommend the white either, because on certain backgrounds, like Coastline, for example, you're really not going to see your crosshair anywhere, like especially on those backgrounds. But then don't have it onto something too dark, because then you won't see it in dark corners or dark angles. I personally just run green. You can see on every kind of background, it doesn't blend in with anything. And I run a low optic opacity because I can see where I'm looking, but then I can see if a person runs into my crosshair a lot easier, and it basically overlays and I can just click like that. Screen shake, have this off. You should never have this on. It's so much clutter. It makes things like more harder to see. You don't need this on. Have this off. Motion blur. This one's still, I think, actually kind of personal preference because they haven't implemented this the best. I run this off now. Team colors. have your team color not on blue. Have it on like red or orange. Don't have it on blue. When your opposing team color is on blue, right, you can see enemy claymores really easily on stuff like Red Stairs and Cafe. Valkyrie cameras stand out a lot more to you because they're bright blue on most backgrounds. And overall, you will be able to see enemy utility a lot more clearly. If there's anything you disagree with or any questions you have to ask, feel free to let me know below. I do read them, so yeah, if it's something you disagree with, I will respond. If you think there's a question, if you have a question you want to ask, I will respond. Just overall, ask anything. I hope this has done well for you. I hope you learned something from the video. I hope you either have your settings improved or found out that your settings are really good anyway. These are probably the best settings going into 2025. Adios.